right, so welcome back, you guys. High Tales with the Lit Sisters.
Onyx Storm is here.
Onyx Storm is here, and we're doing something a little different. So both Marissa and I have read it on our own all the way through.
Yes.
And we always do a reread, like for the notes and all that.
I will say I tried to not do the reread.
Yeah.
And it was really hard.
I think your reread should be in line with what we're recording.
Yes, but I have to read it first.
You do, because then you pick up on things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I also think my mind, you know how like as you're trying to figure out, your mind's just going?
Yeah.
It's like the luminary thing where I thought luminary was a person and a luminary is a person. And I like had only heard it like once in conversation and you're like, no, that's so far away.
It's not. I could kind of see, but no. But you wouldn't have had that if you had read the whole book. Yeah. So what we did this time, we both have read Onyx Storm. We are in a cabin away from our kids and our husbands and all the sports and everything that's going on. And we are listening to it right before we record the episode.
And
so last night we listened to chapter 1 through 14.
Yes.
And now this morning, it's not really morning. We did a little bit of sleeping and
well,
stuff.
we got our Starbucks. We set up the microphone.
We had to figure out my whack-ass audio the last couple episodes. Sorry
and we just learned she was loud.
We basically came to the conclusion that I am naturally a loud-ass bitch.
And we had to turn her ass down.
Since 1981.
And then if we go back and listen to this and it's still shitty sound,
I'm
people
just
are going to be
apologize ahead of time that we're going to think I sound fantastic. And then Marissa's going to get to editing and she's like, you're going to be mad. You did that with, I think it was Iron Flame. You're like, you're going to be mad. Your audio sounds bad again. And I'm like, we have to re-record bad? Because there was one we had to re-record. It was so bad. Re-record bad? And she's like, No,
I sound great.
Annoying as shit. Yeah, your voice sounds great.
I can't help how great my voice sounds.
Anyways, chapter 1 through 14 of Onyx Storm. Well, what's really funny is I had a vacation planned in between, like I was going to be going on vacation and then I would come back, have a week before we were going to come up here, and I type up all the notes. So I wanted to read it before my vacation so that I could come home and then like plan it and type up the notes with work and everything before we took off for this.
Amazon had other plans.
And we both pre-ordered it. We pre-ordered it like a day apart from each other.
Yeah.
Like I think I didn't know you actually ordered it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe 2 to 3
I
days.
not only ordered it on Amazon, but I used those credits you get when you buy books to buy the audio. So I had both.
Oh. So
I think I might just keep doing that.
I kept seeing these things saying, oh, people's shipments are getting delayed or canceled. Mine was fine. It still said it was going to be there on Tuesday. Tuesday comes, it says, yours is going to be here on Thursday. Marissa got her book.
I got my book.
She got her book Wednesday
morning, and I wasn't even going to read it right away.
No, because she was still editing, and she likes to finish the book that she's editing before you start to add new things, right? Yeah. So then it was, okay, if I come get your book, though, and then you get my book, when it comes in, I could maybe have it done before I go on vacation. And then I was waiting. I was like, but if I get it Thursday, I can still get it done. And then it was Saturday. And I'm like, fuck. So I had to go get Marissa's book. And I did exactly what I didn't want to do, which was not finish it before my trip and then have to take it on the plane and then have to not read the end of it for 3 days then finish the book. And that's exactly what happened.
I am like trying to find our text thread when we were talking about it because
I stressed my out. So I thought you were going to read it.
You were really stressed out about it. I
was very
and I was just like, Rebecca just likes me so much more than you.
She
purposefully did that because she doesn't value your perspective on her writing.
Whatever.
And she's gonna really hate you after this episode. No, I'm just kidding. So we are in the beginning of the long-awaited Onyx Storm.
Long-awaited. It's a year.
It's not been long-awaited for me.
It's not even a year for us. Yeah.
No, I literally just finished Iron Flame like a month ago. But
we're just excited.
We are excited. And this world is pretty cool. Xaden at the very end, tear drop, he's Venom.
Yeah.
He saved Basgiath, but he did so at the expense of his soul. Okay?
Part of his soul.
Part of his soul. Violet is sad about that. Mm-hmm. And Violet's mom has passed.
Right.
She gave up her life for Basgiath. So everybody as we're opening, everybody walking around is like celebrating. We won. We won.
Yeah.
And they're celebrating her mom, and her mom's dead. Mm-hmm. And she just got to know her mom. Only was this tough general, and then finally she's understood her thought process and felt valued.
In the prologue, right? Like she follows Xaden going to try and talk to Jack and to get through to the guards.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just need to talk to a prisoner and da-da-da, which they're never going to let her do that. And he was like, we'll give you 10 minutes. 5 for your mother and 5 for you for saving us.
We would have been dead without you. Also, you are a hell of a weapon.
Right.
Sloane, Liam's younger sister, can't even look at Violet because she feels like she took her mom's life. Violet's upset about it. So Sloane won't even look at her. Mm-hmm. Sawyer has one leg.
Right.
And it can't be mended just because it has to be whole to be fixed. Mm-hmm. And his leg is gone. So he's like in a hospital wing. The wards are up because Jack is still around.
They're actively going out on missions to kill them.
Yes.
The professors are gone right now, too, at the other provinces, like killing Venom.
Yeah. Violet still loves Xaden. There are a couple of people who know that Xaden is Venom.
Right.
So we've got Bodhi, Garrick. We need Imogen, too. So all 4 of them are the only ones that know Xaden is Venom.
Right.
And, of course, Andarna, Segal, Taryn. And Taryn only calls the Dark One.
Violet keeps going, stop calling him that, multiple times.
Exactly.
Tarn don't care.
Tarn don't care. Negotiations are happening because the quote-unquote traitors, all the Orishan riders and stuff, came back to save Basgiath. So their plan is we're going to go find Andarna's kind.
Yeah.
And so as negotiations are happening, they actually went and said, okay, there's a 7th breed. We need to go find the 7th breed because that's how we turn on the Wardstone. So I want to go on a mission. And Violet's like, I know I'm only a 2nd year, but I know I'm smarter than everybody. I should lead this mission.
Well, it's my dragon.
It's my dragon.
I brought the chips.
And they're like, the only reason you're invited on the mission is because you have the dragons.
Yeah.
So now, that's part of the negotiations that are going on right now. Right. Find the 7th breed. They may know how to defeat Venom.
Yeah.
But also in the back of her head, Violet's like, and maybe cure Xaden.
And possibly cure. Yeah.
And this whole verbiage back and forth between her and Andarna is a lot of every path possible.
Yeah.
It's let's not get devastated. We are going to try everything possible. But then if we have to, we will kill him.
Who?
Xaden. Well.
Oh, the underlying theme.
Okay. The underlying theme is every path possible until the inevitable.
Right.
Well, hopefully not inevitable, but
the underlying vibe that you're talking about is honestly from Xaden.
Yeah.
Xaden keeps being like, hey, you're going to kill me if I get too close. You're going to do da-da-da.
Yeah. He's basically like, we're prepping for suicide.
The inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Darna is talking to Violet a lot. And I just want to point out a couple of things that she was saying in this interaction back and forth. She's still kind of a little teenager, a little sassiness. Violet was kind of confiding her in the unknownness of Xaden.
Yeah.
Right? And she made the point that Xaden is unknown as she is, as Andarna is. And you trust me. So, why do you trust me? Because you know. So she kind of gave Violet that confidence there. She also brings up that her magic feels different when she changes color.
Yeah.
And these are just 2 or 3 things that Andarna says at the beginning that make sense that are not mentioned again the rest of the book that I want to point out.
Oh, that's a spoiler. Great. You did it again.
No, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
It's okay, but I think we all are reading all of these books now at this point. So I'm setting these things up for theories possibly later, because it is a very Rebecca Yarros thing to do, to mention something and then purposely not mention it, and then it becomes important later, right?
I will also say I like that their relationship here gets closer, because Andarna is coming from the perspective of, I've got your back no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here to lecture you. Like Taryn is like lecturing you on what you should do. I'm with you with whatever decision you're making. And from Andarna's perspective.
Yeah. Taryn's dad or Uncle Taryn, I'm sister.
I'm sister.
Or your cool cousin or something. Yeah. You know? I agree. And she mentions that she's able to burn venom. And somehow with all of this, she thinks she might be able to cure Xaden.
Yeah.
And remember, she's not remembering everything about her kind. But as things are presented, she starts to remember a little bit, right? So the fact that she has these feelings, I think when it's Andarna, it's important. Because I think her feelings are a lot of times premonitions of like repressed thoughts. Like as we go through, somebody says something and she's like, oh yeah, I remember that about my kind. Oh yeah.
I'm going to keep that in mind. Andarna actually says, I will not be another battle you have to fight.
Yes.
Which I'm like, oh, that's so good.
See, it makes you think about it.
I feel like I need to say that like with my husband, or like.
Oh no, we battling. I won't be. How about your sister? I won't be another battle you have to fight. Another thing that is not surprising but interesting, but the Navarian writers, the people who didn't leave Basgiath, and the Aratian writers, Violet, Riddick, that left, are not getting along.
No.
And there's these, we're noticing in this beginning prologue in the first chapter, a lot of jabs as they're going by, like Aura and those guys, like calling them traitors and stuff, when they saved everybody, which is really fucked up. But we hear Violet and the Core Four talking about how they're not even accepting them as dragon riders. They're never going to accept the Flyers. So there's a lot of tension. So as we're talking about these events, just know there's a shit ton of tension going on at the school as well.
Ironically, of all the venom that are being killed and hunted down and stuff like that, the largest percent of it is from Xaden himself. So he's killed more venom as a venom.
Over half.
Over half than he did before he was venom.
Yeah.
The 4 that know are like rotating watch on Xaden, because we don't ever want him to be by himself. Yeah. So that way he doesn't get tempted to draw.
Someone can like pull him out of it.
Or figure it out.
Or block a little, like other people. Yeah.
But I will also note that Imogen pulls Violet aside and is like, by the way, we talked and we don't think you should be spending the night with him. Like that's super dangerous. And she basically says, fuck off.
She literally tells her, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. You guys can go fuck yourselves.
Yeah. But I did think it was funny how she's like, we were talking, and she's like, about what? And she's like, you.
Of course Imogen did.
Like, no shit. We were talking about you. We think you should rethink your sleeping arrangements.
Yeah. And so she's like, no. Yeah. And then the first time she sees Xaden after that comment, she's like, in the spirit of transparency, they think we should like rethink our living arrangements. And Xaden's kind of like, I kind of agree, but I don't want to. And she said, I told him to go fuck off. And he's like, okay. And then when they came out of the door after their conversation, he like looks at him and I'm like, heard you want me to rethink my sleeping arrangements. Go fuck yourself. Like, so it's just kind of like, oh, we aligned on the common verbiage back.
Well, and Garrick and Bodhi and Imogen are all like figures. Yeah. Okay. We know.
But we're going to keep trying because it's a stupid idea.
Right. Well, and it is showing that Garrick, Bodhi, and Imogen respect Violet as much as Xaden at this point. Where before it wasn't sure. Like they only cared about me because they don't want him to die. No, they don't want either of them to
I will say, I think that their bar is probably much higher of what they would like Xaden get away with than if she had somebody actually
not
like
as Venom,
more
though.
caring
I feel
about.
Like it's shifted. The reason
I think they care.
They even fuck with him anymore is because they love him. But they're like, you need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I love him. I care about you.
Yeah.
So at night they're canoodling and they start getting hot and heavy. And Xaden actually has to like stop everything. And she's just like, oh, sorry. Like what happened? What happened? He's just like, I just can't. He's like, don't touch anything. Don't do anything.
Yeah.
And he like has to calm himself down.
Well, he said it was once he could feel her power.
Yeah.
That he knew why he wasn't supposed to touch her at all.
And basically if he loses control, he'll accidentally draw. Yep. So this isn't just a like, in a crisis, I have access to this power and I'm going to vengefully do it. He like literally, if he loses control, he doesn't know if he's pulling from Seagal or from
and Jack
the headboard.
Told him control is what goes first, bud.
Yeah. Control and he's known quickly. For his control.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a handprint on the headboard when they were canoodling that is there as like proof that he accidentally drew a little bit of power.
Well, and Violet was trying to talk it down. She's like, sandpaper takes more than you did. But
but it's a slippery slope, man.
I think Xaden rightfully is nervous about it. He's like, I didn't even know. What if I had been touching you instead of the headboard?
Yeah.
The headboard. What I think he said, for a kiss and some over the clothes touching.
Yes. So basically they drew the line at maybe we shouldn't bang.
Well, kiss. They're only allowed to kiss.
Yeah.
I'll kiss you whenever I want.
So I will say in this first part, I found some themes. One, they can't bang. Yeah. They can only kiss. And even the kisses are like not the 3-page Oscar kisses.
Did you reboot. Did you get excited when you're like, oh, there's not going to be sex in this book?
It's just going to be all the slow burn. I'm okay with that. And another reason I got excited is they're always just studying.
So you like sexual tension.
I like the meat.
But not the actual graphicness.
I can handle all of it. It's fine.
I'm a grown-ass woman.
I just don't lean in as hard when they're doing some hard stuff.
No, I know.
I just
but that's
skim
what I'm
it
saying.
more. I just skim it.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying you like the sexual tension, like reading that.
Yes.
Okay.
Like the I love you.
The slow
yeah.
burn. See, that's why I do think I have romance novels for you.
Yeah.
I like that too.
I also think it's hilarious.
I also like the graphic sex.
That they always like do this like romantic like lust thing.
Yeah.
And they open the door and there's like everybody's in the hallway.
Always.
It's like, are you guys just fucking listening behind the door? Like, thank God there's a shield that I know you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
But it's like her brother's outside.
What if that's like sex in public for them is like lowering the shield?
Because everybody's just waiting for them in the hallway.
Always.
And Imogen this first time actually was like, I didn't let anybody knock on the door. So it was literally a queue was piling up because she's like, you need your fucking sleep.
They weren't sleeping.
But they couldn't do anything else. Okay. And so they actually go and visit Sawyer. Sawyer is still in bed. He is like kind of acting like his writering is done.
The retired writer department came to visit him. Like they were acting like
that.
And
there's no such thing as retired writers. You like die or become a teacher because you can't write anymore.
He's like, you're a cadet. Like, tell him to shut up.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Sawyer is pretty down.
He's down, which I totally get.
At one point, he looks at they're talking about the search to get Indarna's seventh breed, and he tells Violet, you should take the whole squad. He's like, well, not the whole squad, not me. And he's like, I'm sorry for complaining. You lost your mom. And she's like, pain isn't a competition.
Yeah.
There's plenty to go around. Like,
yeah.
He also feels guilty that they even have to feel bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Where they're just like, you lost a leg. You're still part of the team.
Right.
Like, well, that's minor details. We have fucking magic.
Yeah. We have magic. We have magic.
Get on your crutches while we make you a magic leg. Like, get over yourself, man. You're a fucking writer.
They never make him a magic leg.
Well, I mean, they'll find somebody.
They could grow him a vine leg.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, he controls metal. You tell me just put a chunk of metal and he'll figure out how to do it. Okay. Anyway.
I mean, that's a side conversation, which is totally okay. But now I'm a little pissed.
Yeah.
I want a whole episode on how they fucked Sawyer over with his leg.
Okay. But he'll figure it out. he'll rub some dirt on it and grow the fuck up.
This is all entry to say it's very obvious this is going to be a journey for this whole book for Sawyer.
They are finished talking to Sawyer. They're walking back. And all of a sudden, they start seeing like bodies, like desiccated bodies. They're like, Venom are in here. And they see 2 scribes walking over. Violet actually is like, oh shit, something's wrong. And she actually picks up her sword and like kills this person. And we find out that scribe was actually Venom. And somebody's like, how did you know that? And she was like, because a scribe, again, she's using her brain, a scribe would be running towards the archives, not away from them.
Right.
And so that's how she knew that it was Venom.
Right.
And so they're like, shit, we're under attack, which this is a surprise that Venom can be hidden so well. We know that Jack has survived under it, but he's relatively low level. So they didn't realize like Venom could be among them.
Right.
They start like as a team with just a little hole where Sawyer would be. So they're following a screen and it's the torture room.
Yeah, because remember Riddick was like, where we go, up or down? And they hear the scream down and they're like, down. He goes, cool, into the torture dungeon where all of us were tortured and there might be a bunch of Venom there ready to suck. Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And they walk in the door and they see 2 Venom in front of them and they're trying to get the door open where Jack is. They're trying to release Jack.
Right. I think there's 4 total. Right?
Because then they turn around and they're in behind them. The girl that's in front of them trying to open the door, she actually just smiles, waves, and just like disappears. And Violet's like, wait, did I just hallucinate that? Or no, that happened. She just disappeared somehow.
But what about her?
She has
Violet's
silver hair.
Just like Violet, but all silver.
All silver, yeah.
And like a faded tattoo on her forehead.
Yeah.
And she just disappears. While the other one's over here slitting a guard's neck and someone else is in the shadows.
So here is where they like fight as a unit and like throw the daggers, not knives. You're welcome.
She's learning.
Yes. And then we see some shadows start to dissipate.
Explosion.
Yes.
Of shadows.
And so of course Xaden comes and everybody dies that needs to die.
And
he caresses her with the shadows.
Yes. Like she sees like the dagger, right? There's daggers in all the Venom. And she said it felt her caress her face or something. Yes. And it felt like home.
Aww.
But before that it was all like powerful and cool and bleh.
Yeah. Ironically, during all that fighting, one of the Venom says, "We need her alive."
Oh, that was her first clue that they wanted her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she also can get cocky too, because it's like, I can be bait all day, every day. Me. I can just like shimmer in the middle because nobody will actually kill me.
If you've seen any movie, they oops kill a lot.
Yeah, fair. But these guys are precision people. It's their job not to F up.
We don't know that yet.
Okay.
Right now, they're just animalistic zombie Venom.
And so Xaden caresses her with his shadows, and it feels like home.
Aww.
And then he also tells her, I can sense the Venom.
Right. Like when they were debriefing, he was like, I could sense them like the way they can sense me. Mm-hmm. What else did he say? Oh, the same way he feels the power calling to him under the ground.
Which one of the things, if he's so, I'm going to protect you, wouldn't he want to be far away from her then? Because if they're looking for her. They do
have the wards though. So everything's muted. He is safer within the wards.
Agreed. But if there's Venom in the wards, they get pulled to Xaden. Xaden's always with Violet. They have a compass to Violet.
Yeah. But it's still worse if he's outside the wards.
I'm just trying to be on Imogen, Garrett, and Bodhi's side and say she shouldn't sleep in the same bed with him.
Yeah. I'd say, mind your fucking business.
I love that we disagree on these things.
Whatever. Okay. Violet has to meet with the Is it Scenarium?
Scenarium.
I always want to put an L in it. Scenarium. Violet's going to meet with the Scenarium because they need to get this team and give it to her as a second-year cadet to go find Andarna's 7th breed.
Yep.
Garrick's like nervous. He's like, I don't really like you going alone. It's not like we've been pardoned for like ditching and taking half the fucking college with
Yeah,
us.
you might get the blame for a lot of that,
I don't
especially
know.
because you're the one that made the speech.
I might have PTSD from watching my parents executed and all of my friends' parents executed, but I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing. Violet's fine. 6 people are there representing the 6 different provinces. They pretty much immediately agree to the task force. Like, she didn't really have to battle that. They're like, Malgren's already told us what's up. We agree. And Violet goes, cool. Here's Andarna's demands. Yeah. And they're like, oh, silly child.
Oh, and my first draft of the squad.
You silly, silly child. You will not be running anything. Professor Grady is running it. Period.
Okay, and Professor Grady, he seems like an okay guy, but he's not known for his intelligence around this stuff.
They did concede to that pretty quickly, though. It's like, okay, we can handle that.
Yes.
But the rest, she was called...
Which, to remind you, he's the RSC teacher. So he's the one that oversaw the torture class.
He is, but he gave them their damn patch when they escaped.
But because they earned it, because they escaped torture.
I will say, in Iron Flame, though, I got pretty good vibes from him.
I did. No, he's not the worst teacher, but he's also not... He's the white guy that got appointed, not the best person for the role.
Bing. On the nose, for sure. That's the exact feeling I had with him, where I'm like, okay, well... And I feel like that's how Violet felt too.
He might be okay, but is he really the most qualified person for this job?
Probably not. I don't think it was given on merit.
Like the person who runs the federal health department, they should probably have a medical background, right?
Or maybe like the Secretary of Defense maybe should have served
in the military. To understand that.
Can you guys tell we have a whole 45-minute talk before this episode where we maybe talked about some recent events?
Blunt talk with the Lit Sisters.
Yeah, FYI, we'll do a little plug. We're talking about possibly doing non-book related topics and calling it Blunt Talks with the Lit Sisters.
And the funny thing is how we came up with this idea was we were testing out our mics and we're like, okay, let's just record. And then we just would go on a conversation. And then I went back and edited it. I was like, that's actually a really good conversation to capture while we're high.
Say, man, we think we're really good conversators.
No.
I don't think they'll be that long, though. We talked for 45 minutes. I was like, oh, okay, never mind. All right, anyway, focus. Back to Violet, meeting with the Scenarium. They called her a deserter, and she's like, oh, a deserter that saved the college, the wards, the kingdom, and just a few hours ago killed some fucking venom for you.
Yeah.
This same deserter, and FYI, I'm not under your command.
No. How fucked would you be if I said, fine, if you want a deserter, I will desert.
Yeah. I'll leave.
I can pull this shit out so fast. And you know who comes with me?
The shadows.
Half of your fucking riot.
Yeah, exactly. Malgreen was kind of cool, actually. He's like, we'll consider your demands. Llewellyn, who's the sitting leader of Tyrrendor, right? Because that's kind of Xaden, but he's a writer. He takes the list. Llewellyn. I'm literally looking at it, and I just listened to it last night. So I apologize.
Thank you
for all the shit I gave you. It doesn't really make it easier.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you at least have the base because you like to say Andarnia. My base is Andarna. So even though I might be like Andarna and Dean, I don't remember, at least my base is right.
Right.
So it doesn't sound right when you say Andarnia.
Syllables. Like that Andarnia, that's reading too much. You already know only 2 syllables.
So I can feel that that's wrong.
I apologize.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Validation.
Not to mention, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of new names.
They're really...
So, and we're going to butcher them all. You're welcome.
Oh, guess what, guys? Llewellyn is also a location. Spoiler. I'm just going to give you that spoiler right now. It's a place and a person.
So
and
now
you're not going to know which unless you really pick up on the context clues.
Can you understand now my whole Illuminary thing?
Totally.
Can I get an apology for that one too?
Also think,
no, I'm just kidding.
That's going to be interesting to see the different pickups on reading versus audio. which I have found interesting with Fourth Wing so far. Because inferences like that, I could see if you were listening to it, how you might think that. Because even the way the narrator says, it's hard for me to tell what is said out loud and what is said in someone's head.
Yeah.
Where when I'm reading it, I can tell.
Well, especially because they do italics and stuff. Yeah.
Right. No, that's my point. And that's a lot of Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Is the mind to mind. So you're not even going to know sometimes when things are mind to mind if you've only listened to it.
I mean, you catch on, but yeah, when it first started happening, no, that was tough.
That's what I noticed last night as the biggest thing. I was like, I know this is mind to mind, but I wouldn't have
known.
But
I think me reading the book first and then listening to it helps.
Yeah. But you didn't do that.
No, I went back and forth with Onyx Flame.
Oh.
Or Onyx Storm.
Onyx Flame. That's the fourth book. Okay. Anyways, Llewellyn pulls her aside and says he's going to work on the rest of the demands and gives her a note from Takaris that says she has 3 days to hold up her end of the bargain.
Yeah.
The bargain, remind me, the bargain was the flyers get to stay and they're safe.
They're safe under the ward.
But then what was she getting? The libraries.
Access to the libraries.
Right.
Yes. Okay. And Darna's requests are. She wants...
Number one, that all the flyers get to stay.
Okay.
And their squads stay intact.
So squads stay intact, flyers stay, so that way she can continue with this deal with Takaris.
Right.
6 riders of her choosing.
Right.
And that's the one that they were immediately like, no. And she's and Darna wants it. Oh, a pardon for everybody. And Darna will not be examined. And of course.
She gets to hunt in the King's Forest whenever she wants.
And Darna just goes, that was just for fun. That's just for me to say I can do what I want.
Yeah, that one was later. When she leaves the meeting with the Cenarium, Mira gets in. A little earlier than she was supposed to as well. She was back in Orisha figuring out a rune. And so we're in this conversation. It takes us a minute to figure out what this rune is and what it does. But essentially, it's going to be able to be added to the ward stone and mold with not change the ward stone. So that was a big complexity to put on this rune. Yeah. But it will allow the flyers to wield magic within the wards.
That sounds like it would solve all the problems of this alliance.
Exactly. Sounds like we don't need any more discussions. We have a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, they are going to wait to see if the Solarium makes the right choice and lets the flyers stay, and it really has an alliance.
So this is a good point for Democrats.
Yeah.
Wait to see if the right choice is made, but if not, have a fucking contingency plan.
Yeah. Do something.
Yeah.
If not, do.
If the people don't make the right decision, then strategize on how to get the decision still made.
Right?
Okay, sorry. Ugh. I didn't.
No.
That was another callback to our 45-minute conversation.
Can you tell what's top of mind right now?
I'm sorry. We're living through it. We're living through it.
We are actively trying to escape as we speak by reading books about dragons.
And we still can't escape.
And 20-year-olds going to war and having sex. So, and doing a whole podcast about it. We still can't stop talking about it. All right. Anyways, Mira finds out in this conversation, because Brennan walks up, that she just met with the Cenarium and they're Violet to go off and find the 7th breed. Yeah. Mira is pissed. And she is like, Brennan, you're fucking okay with this? She's going to fly through enemy-controlled territory beyond the wards, not protected, to find the 7th breed of dragon, which could take decades or years. And Orisha will already be gone. We have 6 months. You sent me there to test the wards. This was why? 6 months till they fall. And then kind of in a very Mira way, she's like, by the way, we have a solution to keep the flyers safe. And Brennan's like, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Mira and Violet had a surprise that they didn't tell Brennan, and then Brennan and Violet had a surprise that Mira was pissed at. And it was just like Violet's just in the middle, just like pulling the fucking strings. Everybody's doing what we need to do.
It's always the youngest. Always.
Is it? It's not in our family. My youngest that I have doesn't do it. Our youngest in our family.
Well, maybe it's an adult thing then. Well, no. Derek.
In this situation, it's in your husband's family. It's the youngest. Okay. So picture 1990s cafeteria room.
I know exactly where you're going right now.
And the cool gang of Violet, Imogen, all the rebels. Oh, yeah. And all the Orishan riders on one side.
That didn't happen in
all
the 90s.
The Navarian riders on the other side.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're just like having a conversation about, you know, the world issues that are happening.
Yeah. These little scenes where in 5 paragraphs she gives all this fucking information about the war because it's casual conversation.
Yes.
That was what was happening.
That was what was happening.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, they're like looking across at the other, there's whispers, and then people run outside, and then the next person runs over and whispers, and then they run outside, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, something's actually happening here. And so they're like, we should probably check this out, because the only people left are like the cool this is the sound for Orishan riders. We're also doing like a shimmer dance with it.
Okay.
It feels very like Greece.
We might need to calm down on the lid.
These are the T-birds.
T-birds. They do look around though and go, it's only Orisha left. We should probably.
And then she's like, we need somebody with authority. She looks over and she yells, Dane. And Dane just starts running with her, like with them, and assumes that he's needed. With no question. Yes. And he didn't even need proof from her memories.
No.
So
don't care no more.
Thank you for that growth, Dane. But again,
he is a good example.
This is what it should have been all along.
This is any white men out there who
We're
would
giving
like
you a
good
cookie.
Reading. Yeah. Follow Dane's journey.
Yes. But anyway, and we walk out, and another wing leader who is Navarian
talk down to them.
Oh yeah. Like she's one of the leaders of the talking shit about this quote unquote traitors that saved their lives.
Yeah.
By being traitors, they did the things that saved
patriots,
everybody.
Marissa, the patriots.
It's a revolution. Okay. And so she actually has a knife up to a first year Orishan rider's neck.
It's a flyer.
It's a flyer. Yeah. Oh, a Orishan flyer's neck.
She's a wing leader.
Yeah. So she's really showing you what you should do in leadership.
Showing strength, guys.
Yes.
Pick on the weak one.
Yeah. And so like Kat is actually like screaming and Marin's like holding her back and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Kat's talking shit.
Oh yeah, of course. And she's very spicy. I like her shit talking.
I actually think I relate to Kat almost the most
feel
in
like
this series
your
of
social media presence is very similar to Kat's vibe.
No, I think my vibe in general is Kat's vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't love like the Xaden thing and all that at the beginning, but in this type of situation or world, I could see me being like that.
If you had to.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I'm not Nori. I'm not Violet either. Mm-mm. Who else is there?
Mira.
I had little Imogen and Mira too.
Yeah.
Like in the sibling scenario, I think I'd be the Mira.
Yeah.
For sure.
But the vibe you put out there is when you know Kat's vibe.
Yes. Like that's why I sent you that meme thing that was like the voiceover with Kat and Violet, and that guy's like, man, I really thought you was a piece of shit. I really hated you. You cool. I actually like you. Damn. Ain't that the thing?
Silly me.
I feel like that's exactly how I feel about Kat. Like at first I was like, oh, I fucking hate you. You suck. And then I was like, I actually really like you.
Yeah.
You're probably one of my favorite now.
So at the end of the day, Aura is like, I challenged this little first year to a fight, right? On the mat. And Kat's like, I volunteer to take his place because he's a first year. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Yeah. But then it's also like, Kat, you don't got no magic.
Well, Violet got right in her face.
Yeah. And she stood in between them and was like, okay.
She's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay? You are in a lose-lose. All right? You can't even fucking wield magic, bitch. You can't manipulate emotions or anything like that.
Nope.
And if you bleed, there's no fucking deal.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you do win, say you do, you're going to confirm all their fears about you.
There's no...
Shut the fuck up.
This is just the stupidest play ever. I appreciate the passion you have.
Yeah.
Which this isn't a good example of how our podcasts about stuff would work if it was blunt talk.
Yeah.
Because I'm the Violet here, where I'd be like, your passion is awesome.
Yeah.
But let's.
Well, she's like, but Kat looked at her. Then there was the emotion.
Yeah.
Which is what everything is actually based off of anyway. You guys can't see me pointing at myself. So Kat looks at her and goes, they're never going to accept us. Mm-mm. And Violet goes, they don't have to. We already have. Like, we are already family. Yeah. I am one of you. Now let me take care of shit.
You're not on your own here.
I thought that was very beautiful, though.
I agree.
Yeah, and I liked starting out that their relationship is so different already.
Yes. Well, and it's because they just shook off this isn't about a dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't matter.
Right.
So anyway.
Because I got him.
Yeah. And so then Dane comes up and is like, I'm a wing leader and I want to be an inspirational speaker like my predecessor, but it just isn't hitting. And I appreciate... Well,
Ark said he was good. Yeah. He just couldn't control the crowd.
It is funny that Violet's just sitting there like waiting for it to happen, and Ark's just like behind her, like making notes. Like, you know that
he's just like his
TikTok guy
like...
that like swipes through like the Grammy dresses and is like, I'm not mad at it. Like, I feel like that's Ark in this situation.
That's his whole vibe.
Okay. And so, like, Dane is, like, stumbling. He's like, let's talk about the code of conduct. Like, this is against rule 4, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, like, not working. And so then he goes, okay, fine. I'll be the person that you fight against because you can't fight against them. And it's like, okay, we went from second year flyer to now we're, like, wing leader to wing leader. And Aura is just trying to pick a fight. She just doesn't want this negotiation to go well.
No, when we were listening to it, remember how it was like, Aurora was like, we will stand with Navarre. And it was like, Flyers cheered. I was like, yeah! It's like, but it doesn't even make sense.
No.
They fought for you, you dumb fuck. Like, they were lying to you. Yeah.
And so finally Aura's like, fine. Strongest versus strongest, and we'll see what really matters. And so Dane steps up, wing leader to wing leader, right?
Yeah.
And Darna in the back of Violet's head is just like, he's not the strongest. And so then Aura starts like taking off her fucking gloves. So then
why would you take off your gloves, Aura?
Well, because she's going to use her fire.
You cheating piece of shit.
Dane, what is he going to do? Throw her memories back in her face?
He has to touch her.
He's got to touch her. And then he's got to shuffle through
You're already dead.
Traumatic memories and be like, mean girl it. That's going to take too much time, Dane. That's going to take too much time. So Violet's and Darna's just in the background going, he's not the strongest.
It was kind of funny. It like snapped for Violet. She's like, wait, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she takes her dagger. You're welcome. She takes her dagger and like as she like lifts off her glove, Violet like shoots it and like just pins the glove to the back of the wall.
It was awesome.
Like, and she's like, okay, I finally stepped in, and Kat behind her is like, took you long enough, because it really did feel like Dane was just stumbling along, and Violet like
she was trying to let him do his thing.
And so she like has her conduit and is just like pulling magic and just kind of making a show of it a little bit, like as she's preparing and accumulating, and she's like, I'm the strongest. Step back, Dane. That's embarrassing for you.
Well, no, I want to read this verbatim because it's like really good. She goes, rebel, so outdated. We prefer the term revolutionary. And if you're going to wield, then it's me you'll be dealing with.
Yeah.
And then that's when she says, Dane's too honorable to wield in a challenge. ...
He actually just doesn't have the skill set. But we're being nice here.
He is a big rule follower, though. So she, instead of saying rule follower, square, she said he's too honorable to wield in a challenge. But my moral compass on this, it shifts and wavers.
It shifts because now I'm part of the rebel gang.
But Aura acted surprised. You wouldn't. Oh, I would, bitch.
Again, you asked for it. I'm bringing it. And so Violet does this super inspirational speech, and she's just basically like, this alliance begins now. And I'm not talking about the old boomers debating politics in the corner behind a closed door. I'm talking about us. We are the generation that will bring this change. Yeah. We here can make the decision. And it's like, look at yourselves and are you making the right decision? I understand you bunch, your dragons made the decision for you, but that doesn't mean that this stuff isn't happening around you. And it actually was a very good speech. And then...
Well, and she was even countering. Like, Aura's like, we'll never be able to trust them. And she's like, you have to. It was a leader. Yeah. Very leader.
She is she's an inspiration to all of us. And then the teachers come in and is like, all right, come on.
Is this what you do when you break from class? And everyone's like, they're back! Emitero, Corey, Tavera. I think Violet said they look like shit. Like they've been writing for days.
Of course. And then the teacher said, okay, you silly children, go back to class.
Silly goose. Violet's right. Go back to class.
Idiots. She's the one you cheat off of in school. Why aren't you listening to her?
She was trained as a scribe.
And then she's like, okay, class, 9 a.m. tomorrow, and get away from whatever you thought you were doing here, because this isn't, again, you said it yourself. All the old people are making the rules upstairs. Like, you don't have to do a fake one down here.
Look at you guys playing war.
Oh, bless your heart.
She did have a bless your heart vibe, for sure. I loved it.
Did it.
So after this, right, you joke about the teachers being right there. Yeah. Then, like, Brennan, Llewellyn, and Xaden are, like, right there as well. And they come up and are pulling Violet and Auric, which is a little weird, right?
I mean, he's royal.
But they don't all really know that, and he's a first year.
Oh, that's
right?
true. Who all knows that he's royal right now?
Well, those guys all do.
No, but, like, it's not known.
The core four know.
But it's anybody outside of, like, that...
And, like, Imogen
Oration leadership, I would say.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. I would agree. Or maybe just Oration writers in general.
Oration writer, like that, the Rebel Squad.
Because do Sloan?
All of these guys
Sloan
know. I don't know if Sloan knows.
I don't either.
I mean, she's on his squad, so that's their core four. So I bet their core four knows.
Interesting.
But I think it's probably their section.
They pull them aside. Auric knows instantly that Halden's going. That's why you're pulling me, right?
Who is Prince number one.
Right.
The William of the bunch.
Right, not the spare.
Auric is Harry.
With
the American influence.
True. It's like very true. Halden's going, which must mean they think you're going to the Isle Kingdoms, because that's why they would need royal representation. And they were like, well, unless you maybe want to out yourself and let everyone know you're here. And he's like, I'm here because I don't want to play those royal games. No. So, no. Not me. Not it.
And I think it's actually funny that they still haven't found me.
Yeah. So then it's like, Llewellyn, give her the good news. Okay. The Solarium agreed to Andarna's demands. Everyone gets a full pardon to all those who flew for Orisha in the new accord, which we're going to sign.
Yep.
Andarna will not submit for examination. And Andarna's like that was going to fucking happen
that shouldn't have even been a demand, because it was never happening no matter what.
Exactly.
And it's a courtesy I put it on the list.
But it was funny reading it, where it was like that was going to happen. And she gets to hunt in the King's Forest. And that's when she's like, that was just for fun. I just wanted to be able to do it. And then Violet's like, what about the first on the list? The Flyers are safe and their squads are intact. No. They said no. The alliance failed. All of it's for nothing.
But they said they'll reopen negotiations.
Yeah, but it's not going to meet the 7-day timeline.
They said, we'll take your list of 6 writers under advisement.
So basically at this point, they're going to sign this at 8 a.m. and it would mean Xaden would need to take all the Flyers away. All the Flyers are going to have to leave. Then they look and they're like, we'll let you tell her the good news to Xaden. And she's like, what? He has the sword.
Yeah.
Of Torendor.
Oh, he got his sword back.
You got your sword back. Da, da, da. But Xaden's like going through his head, like, I don't know. You have to promise me. This is the worst timing. I didn't want this. Da, da.
Yeah.
Find out they reinstated his Duke title. He's the Duke of Torendor now.
Tyrendor,
which is 1 level below a king.
Yeah.
and he has a seat on the scenarium. And he's like, they don't know
he can be one of those old guys in the room with the doors.
Right. The room with the doors.
That they close to the people.
But this is one of the key moments that he looks at her and he is like, swear you will sound the alarm if I go too far. Because he knows how much power he'll have when he fully turns. And I think Xaden's very much prepping for all of that as well.
Yeah. The treaty with Tyrandor and Takaris now is null and void because they're all going to get kicked out.
Right.
And she's like, we need access to that library because that's where all of the books are. They're like, okay, we tried to let them do the right thing. And now plan B, fucking treason.
Right.
So they're walking there.
Riddick is like, I want to be on the quest squad. That's just where it pans to. I want to be on the quest squad. It's like, there's not a squad. It's not a quest squad. He's like, you're going on a quest. I think it's a fucking quest squad. He's hilarious.
Yes.
One of the guys from Land Nav that Violet saved gets them in after hours to see Soar. Before they get there, they round a corner, and the guards that were supposed to be there are replaced by Mira.
Yeah.
And it's like, go figure. She's like, I thought you were. And she's like, I need to stop doing this. Why don't you just tell me?
Yeah.
Instead of making me bribe these guys to take over so I can find out what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
How'd you know what I was doing? Because I know you.
Because I'm not an idiot.
Something. Yeah. And it didn't pass, and I just gave you a rune.
Come on, man.
I put 2 and 2 together. Why don't you tell me from now on and bring me along, basically. Yeah. So they get in to see Sawyer. It takes minimal convincing, but some convincing, right? He very much doesn't think he is valued. Is worthy. They need a metallurgist because you can tell by the way Violet phrases it, they want to put it on the wardstone because the wardstone is iron.
Yeah.
Right? A little bit of tough love. I love how Riddick comes in and he's like, put your fucking uniform on because we need you, bro. Okay?
Yeah.
and Sawyer just goes, get my crutches. So as they're going to the wardstone, we got Violet, Mira, Sawyer, Riddick, Marin's with them, Ree, and
they actually took Marin out of her bed. So she's like tired, is like, what's going on here, guys? Like, just because she happened to be Violet's neighbor, they're like, oh yeah, just grab a flyer. Grab the closest flyer.
So Violet asks Tarn as they're walking there, what does the Imperium think of all this? And Tarn, you do a better Tarn voice, but like, the ones who know, who flew for Erasure have your full support, and the others, we will find out in the morning.
They don't need to know. This is on a need-to-know basis, and only the Revolution needs to know.
I love how Violet's like, so we're asking for forgiveness instead of permission. Cool. All right, fine.
Well, and I'll also say, like, as she's going through and, like, just blatantly saying, we're committing treason here. Like, so we'll probably get in a lot of trouble tomorrow morning, but oh well. Marin still is in the background like, wait, treason, what? And she's like, no.
Treason?
Wait. And she's like, don't worry, just go back to sleep for a little bit. Okay. Your part will come.
No, but Mira broke it down. She's like, FYI, all of you involved. The wards could fail.
Yep.
We're fucking with them. We don't know. They could fail. We could be tried for treason and executed.
I feel like this is the small print because she actually is liable. She brought the information forward.
She did.
If she didn't do her research well, she is liable. She's basically doing the small print of Litigious America.
What I didn't pick up on is as Mira was doing that, and everyone's like, yeah, we know. Okay. And she's like, all right. She was saying we the whole time. They walk up to the wardstone. I didn't
notice that. That's
I didn't
a good
notice
catch.
it until later. Then they walk up to the wardstone. Brennan is standing there. He's like, "What's up, sis?" And Mira's like, we both are on to you. But I love how Brennan's like, "You've been hanging out with Ryerson too long. If you came up with this idea," she's like, "You're the one leading a revolution with him." And he was just like, just to think you could have been wasted in the scribe quadrant.
Yeah.
Good thing.
I mean, she would have ruffled feathers there. She would have just done it without killing people.
Brennan, what you could have said was, Mom was right.
Oh, snap.
Boom.
And nobody's going back and saying that. Nobody's acknowledging that the mom made the right decision.
No.
They only criticize it in the moment.
Those two aren't. Violet has been, actually. she's been coming, I think, from more of a place of understanding.
So that's what we can expect as mothers is like 20 minutes before you're about to die, it finally clicks like, oh, you are worth something, Mom.
We do know as mothers, though, that her mom knew that they would eventually. She did say, I could carry the burden of your hate. But I know this is keeping you alive, and I'm okay with that.
How many mothers feel that way on the inside? And just to know, 20 minutes before you die, 20 minutes before you die, your kids will finally understand.
Mom, we love you so much.
But we won't truly appreciate you until you're on your deathbed.
No, speaking of that, though, Violet is having a hard time in this space because last time she was here, this is where her mom died. So she's getting kind of flashbacks as Sawyer is up there. Sawyer attaches the rune. It kind of bubbles and my vision said it was like spidering kind of through the ward zone. You could see like veins through the stone is kind of what I pictured in my mind. And they were kind of like, that might be too much because I think some spilled off and didn't Riddick have to like stop it? Yeah. And it like blistered his hands with the ice. But as they were going, maybe that was wrong. Marin's over there doing just small magic, like floating a rock, I think. Mira walks up. She's like, the wards are still intact. Everything's good. We just got to check on Jack and make sure he's contained. But, like, I think we fucking did it.
And what does Xaden say?
Well, we don't really know yet. It cuts to the next morning in Battle Brief. And they're talking. And Kat confirms, basically because they were like, they're going to be really mad. There's flyers all around them. Yeah. And they're going to be mad that Xaden didn't take the flyers back. And Kat's like, Xaden doesn't fucking need to because as of 8 a.m. this morning, he is Duke of Torndor. And he don't have to answer to what the scenarium says. He's a part of the scenario. Oh, snap. Yeah. Just then, Devera gets an announcement, which she's happy about, saying Kendra, the leader of the Flyers, is going to be leading Battle Brief with her because the nobles are back to negotiations.
Oh, you mean the one barrier to start negotiations about the Flyers not being able to wield within the wards? That barrier has been removed somehow, magically?
Interesting.
How would that have
I do
happened?
think it's funny, though, that they're all bracing. They're like, okay, it worked. Any minute now. We're going to get charged with treason. Any minute now. So Devera starts announcing they're going to redistribute wing leaders, like general announcements. They are all relieved that Dane is staying over 4th Wing, which I think is also an interesting pivot because they hated it before, and now Dane's in. Dane's trustworthy. Just then, Colonel Atos comes busting through. Violet, you've been charged with high treason against Navarre.
Traitor!
I think my voice is too strong for him. I need to change that. Violet!
Excuse me, Violet.
You have been charged with high treason!
That feels more Varish to me. I feel like it's a... I feel like I'm big and bad, but really you're not.
Violet! I don't even know how to do it.
Like that, but on an older man.
Well, Violet's basically like, guys, we all knew this was going to happen. It's fine. She gets up. She does notice a change. He's not a colonel anymore. He's a general.
He is general.
Failing up, we should say.
General Atos.
She goes, I'm only speaking to the scenarium.
Yeah.
I ain't talking to your ass. Tells them. She gets in front of the scenarium, and she basically does what you just did, right? Yep. Oh, you mean the one thing that failed negotiations with our now allies against a common enemy has been solved? You're welcome. You're welcome. I gave you a clear path to alliance here, guys. Yeah. Xaden is hearing about this all right now for the first time. Yeah, right? Because he didn't want to know because he's keeping himself as separate as possible.
But he's sitting in Llewellyn's chair right now.
He is because he has a
Or should I say Llewellyn was sitting in his chair.
And he confirms that they can't do anything because as of 8 a.m., they have all been pardoned.
Oh, and this happened before 8 a.m.?
It happened last night.
Gotcha, punk.
Wow. Fucking
that's
impressive.
That's the follow through that we need the Democratic Party to do.
Yes. Well, and it worked because Queen Mira, who is over wherever, Permel, Queen of Permel, is super impressed. And she's like, why did you do all that? Yeah. Just to keep my flyers safe? And she's like, yeah. They're like...
I made a deal with Takaris.
I made a deal and they're a part of my squad. Like, they deserve to be here. And she's like, And all it was for his libraries. And she's like, yeah, they're the most extensive. It's going
to
help
us with this. I got a scribe brain. I can't help myself.
It's going to help us with finding the 7th breed, which we all need, right? And she goes, his are okay. Mine are better. You have access to mine now, too.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I loved that.
Yes.
Atos is pissed.
Red-faced man in the back just...
That's exactly what I
And he's
pictured.
like the lowest rank in like power and impact. But he's like, but I'm a general.
I'm a general now,
I'm a general in name.
Hey, you know what? The puck's moved, Atos.
What is Atos's power?
Do we know?
I don't know.
Right.
In the Fourth Wing series, General Atos' power is primarily his ability to manipulate and control venom. We don't know that. That's not true.
I think that's a lie.
That was what AI said. I don't know if we know. Okay, I found on Reddit the theory about Colonel Atos' power explained. So we don't know.
Wonder if we're underestimating a character.
I think we are.
We could be.
Dude.
He is a little fucking weasel, though.
I feel like if he could control venom, though, he would be reacting more around Xaden because he'd be able to feel.
Well, and
Xaden's
if I could underestimate a character, I would have underestimated Varish more than Atos. Atos is way worse than Varish. Had a lot more effect.
Yeah, well, and Varish had what I think is like a borderline intrinsic or intrinsic.
I could be wrong. That's just how I read it.
Because his power was very mind manipulation related.
Yeah.
So why?
It's funny which
I always thought
okay.
why wasn't that in the category? Because he can feel desires and what makes you scared? Fears.
Yeah.
But Xaden can read intentions.
Well, and we said the only reason Dane's was okay because it was controlled by touch.
Yeah.
He had to be touchy.
But not Varish.
Varish's wasn't like that. It's interesting that the man gets to decide which signets are penalty by death because they might injure the man versus the ones that are okay because they're better weapons.
That's crazy. Okay. I didn't even register that we didn't know his. I just didn't give a shit.
The very end, there's a little pissing match between Atos, which we will now refer to General Atos just as Atos because Dane has earned his name Dane.
Yeah, so we can still say, damn it, Atos. But now we can't. It's not because we're annoyed with Dane.
Because Dane is Dane.
But now the aggression and anger behind it. Because before it was just annoyance. Like, Dane, you little boy. But now it's like, you're a grown-ass man, General Atos.
It could have. I mean, honestly, Dane had every opportunity to take a turn and be more like his dad, right? Yeah. And instead, when he was presented with what was actually going on, he took a more honorable route.
You are defined by the choices you make.
True story. So he's pissed. He tells them that the king also gave him control of Basgiath, which means I'm moving into your mom's house and your mom's
the house
office.
You grew up in.
The one you grew up in. Well, I mean, they were all over. They were Air Force brats.
Yes, but for the last 8 years.
Like where your dad died. I mean, that type of stuff. He threatens Violet, like basically saying, if you thought it was bad with Varish, just wait. You won't be getting any of that. Wait. And they call him out. They're like, I'm bonded to the most powerful dragon.
Uh-huh.
And the rarest.
Gotcha, punk.
You can't afford to fucking kill me.
No. Not only that, I'm kind of in bed with the fucking Duke of Tyrrendor.
Dude, you can't do shit. He tells her
I just had a conversation with the queen over there. Yeah. And she said, come use my books anytime you want. I got powerful friends.
To him, they're still traitors, though, right? That's the enemy, that queen.
Oh, fair.
Then he tells her, but your friends, they'll pay. That's where it hurts you anyway. So every time you disobey, they'll pay. He doesn't say he's like, cadet, blah, blah, blah. Take your squad to a 2-day post in Samara, beginning in the morning, so she's like, that's a 20-hour flight with Griffins. They have to be there in the morning for 2 days and then fly back 20 hours. He's like, you better figure it out.
So they had to leave right away.
It ended up taking them 22 hours.
Yes, so they were 2 hours late.
Right.
And they show up, And the person leading that post, because this is active war zone. Right. So first of all, that's stupid logically to make them travel that far for such a short time. But also you're sending second years that far into active combat.
Well, and break it down this way even. He's the general. And we just did messaging that we're not killing people in challenges anymore. It's not the weakest. We need all of us.
Yeah.
All the other professors. That's the war strategy even. And he's just like, there's been active fighting there.
Yeah.
Why don't you go there?
See you later.
See if you live.
So basically the person in charge of that post was like, I don't have to. He looks haggard and tired and over it. He's like, don't have time to babysit you guys for whatever pissed off the general thing that you did.
Yeah.
Like the fighting luckily ended yesterday.
The general said his intel's old.
Yeah.
Stopped yesterday.
Yeah. So this isn't the punishment he thought he was going to give you. I'm too busy to do whatever he wanted done.
When they're standing there, Marin asks about Newhall. And he said, as of I know today it's still standing. Traeger then asks, and he kind of stumbles, are we taking in pro-Amish citizens? And he was the general, DeGreasy or something like that, was like, we were given strict orders not to. Yeah. But our people crossed the wards and fought with your people until the horde left this morning.
We just can't bring them inside the wards. It's against our orders.
He kind of warned him. He's like, all right, go make yourself useful, but that is not going to be how everyone is treated.
Yeah.
Here. So he also was like, watch your back.
Yeah.
So then Violet's like, well, where the fuck are we going to go where we have to watch our back? Yeah.
They're all like, okay, how are we going to sleep? They're all exhausted because it's been so long. Violet remembers Xaden's room there. Right. And it is all like safe and protected. Because the original thought was everybody's exhausted, but somebody's going to always have to keep watch. Right. And so finally, like she gets everybody into Xaden's room and they're all laying and they're completely safe. It's completely soundproof. It's like the safest spot for them to be. This is probably better rest than some of them probably get at Basgiath. They're all going to bed and, Violet starts having this nightmare where she's arguing with Kat. Mm-hmm. And not in the normal way they argue where it's like, we're fighting over Xaden, but they're arguing about like, they're in the midst of a fire and she's like running back and grabbing this picture of a family and is like, I can't leave. And Kat's screaming, you have to, you're the heir to the throne and all this stuff. And she's like, what the fuck? And so she wakes up abruptly. Rhea is next to her, best friend talk. She's like, I'm just having the strangest dreams. And she explains the dreams to Rhea and Rhea's like, that's kind of weird. But anyway, they all start waking up and Riddick's like, you guys aren't as quiet as you think you are.
I know. I always want to call out when Riddick's funny in these conversations because it's the whole book. He carries the whole book. Can I
just say, he is the star of the show in this book.
He is. We don't even have to do the who's your favorite character because I think both of us are on the same page.
Yeah, Riddick
carried the book.
You are a rock star and I hope you get more shine as you live your days. Okay. And so they get up and get ready and stuff. And they're like, okay, how can we make ourselves useful? They come out of the comfort of their shielded room and they very soon find out that there are Venin and Wyvern at Newhall.
Yeah.
Which is where Marin's family is from.
Right.
And so they're like looking at each other and they're like, we've got to go save them.
Rhea said technically they can because they were stationed there. So under the rules, technically we're okay.
Technically we can.
Yeah.
And basically Violet says at Resson, we voted. Because I understand, Rhea, you don't want to send your squad into battle.
Yeah.
It's hard for you to make that decision for cadets right now.
Right.
So let's vote on what we're going to do and then get past all this should we, could we, and actually make a plan.
Yeah.
And she raises her hand. All those in favor and everyone, including Rhea, raise their hand. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go try to save Marin's family and save as much people as we can. So they start trying to make the plan. Okay, we've got to fight the Venin and we've got to cut them off and we've got to find somewhere for and Riddick is just like, dude, narrow your scope.
Yeah.
Your scope is too big. Our scope is...
Scope creep.
Yes. We can't do all the things, Violet. I know you want to. I feel like this makes me really feel like I'm Violet because that's my work life where I'm like, but if I see something that isn't working, I should just fix it. And so that scope creep just happens all the time with me.
Yeah.
And my like work friend is always like, dude,
do your job.
Narrow the scope.
Narrow your scope.
Narrow your scope. But anyway, Riddick tells her to narrow her scope. And so they decide we are going to save Marin's family. And as we're doing that, any civilians we can.
As many as possible.
On the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Get out. Now they're flying to Samara.
Yes.
And they see they see civilians hiking.
Yeah.
To Samara, like on their way, right? So Andarna and the Flyers are going to stop and take care of those civilians.
Yes.
And literally minutes later, Wyvern.
Yeah.
Let's just say this. It was badass warfare.
Yes.
And Violet was kicking ass, and Tarn was like snapping necks.
Yes,
and they were getting it. Everyone
they were living their best life.
Their best for.
They were living their best life, and so. But then there's like a tornado, and the weather starts getting really crazy, and they look down, and there is that same frickin' Venom with the silver hair.
Right.
And she's like, shit. And they actually like see in the distance Atrum. Sawyer or Riddick's. So they see Riddick and they both get like twirled up in this tornado and they're like going because what we thought was Atrum like comes and like helps pull a Venom off of Taryn.
Right.
And so they get caught in this twirl and she realizes, wait a second, that's not Riddick, that's freaking Garrett.
Yeah.
And so she's like, how did he get here? But they're like in a tornado. She has some time to like really digest that.
Right.
And Taryn actually gets slammed against the wall. And this whole time she's like saying, okay, well, we tried our best. We're going to die. And he's like, stop talking like that. Like, I haven't died yet. But he does like get slammed up against basically a mountain.
Well, and she says the bond goes black.
It knocks him out. And
But
she's like, shit. Like,
I
would feel.
That, how did you feel?
Oh, I thought he was dead.
I was like, no,
exactly. But then her verbiage that whole time, she's like, I would feel instantly. Like I would feel.
I would know.
There's nothing on the other end. There's no bond there.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I'm about to die. And she thinks back at Liam and how like instantly as she was starting to die, felt her like going away.
Yeah.
This didn't feel the same.
He was saying it.
Get me to her, get me to her.
Yeah.
So she always talks about opening the doors to the Terran's power.
Right.
And so she like opens it fully to Terran's power and she's like feels like two small little strings.
Little trickle.
She's like, okay, he's alive, but he's not doing well.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all that, her knee got like slammed up against a mountain and she's like, oh shit, looks down and her kneecap is off of her knee.
Well, she didn't even know at first when they hit the ground and then Garrick comes running over and she's like, oh, it wasn't Atrum, it was Krog.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his dragon's name? Krog?
Sure.
He comes running over. She's like, he was 8 hours away. What the fuck is he doing here?
Yeah.
And he's the one who's like, holy shit, your knee looks like shit.
Yeah. She's like, yeah.
And then remember the description of that pain? She's like, the pain then flooded in.
Yes.
Completely unbearable. Garrick had to push her kneecap back into the right place.
And they wrapped it. Just can you imagine with your knee like that? You're stuck sideways on a saddle.
Yeah.
Having to get down from that and like pull your legs out of a saddle. Okay. So again, painful, but they are now on the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
Taryn is a really big effing target and he is passed out.
Well, and
cold.
Garrick's dragon is knocked out too.
Yeah.
So both their dragons are knocked out.
So they're screwed.
Yeah. So,
and then we get
and then even before that, at this point, Violet, Andarna tells Violet that the others are coming, and they don't know. She's like, I didn't tell him Garrick was there, and she's like, oh, wait, that means Krog blocked out the riot,
so
which
Krog
is a little
has power.
Weird. So that's when Violet realizes, oh, Garrick has a second signet. He's a distance wielder.
Dun, 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 dun. And Garrick's normal.
Why can't I think what Garrick's is?
It's something that's
very common.
Yeah.
It's like, like the ice wielding, like Riddick's.
Hold on. What power?
3 hours later.
Okay. Signet, distance wielder, and air wielder. Air.
That's why it's one of those like common elements.
Yeah, more common. Okay.
Oh, but they're standing there, and then that's when the silver-haired Brennan comes like around.
Yeah. And we get
she crashes lightning because Garrick's like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "That wasn't me." And she's like, "It was me."
Yeah, because you could think tornado natural, right? Garrick wind power.
Yeah.
Violet frickin' lightning.
Well, and she was thinking wind power couldn't have distanced him here. Like she was trying to put all this together as we were. Yeah, but no, this chick flat out said it was me.
It was me.
Wait, Brennan have signets?
Yeah. And so she goes into this whole villain monologue, and I love it because this was perfect timing because there was a lot of questions that are answered. I feel like in general,
that's why the villain monologue exists.
The villain monologue exists to answer the questions that aren't usually well known.
Right. And we did find out a lot.
We found out a lot. Yeah. First of all, this bitch's name is Theophany. Okay?
Very good.
And she's like, yeah, I have power, bitch. Well, I don't think she said any of that, but she confirmed that's my power.
You're creating a vibe, Marissa.
I am.
That was her vibe.
This is her vibe, right?
Yeah.
She also calls Andarna Irid.
Yes.
And so this is the first time we're hearing this.
How does she call her Irid, though? Because I think that's important, too. She keeps asking Violet who she bonded to first. Did you bond to what did she call Tarn?
The grumpy old man?
The one who gave you the power of the sky? Because I think that might come into play later. The one who gave you the power of the sky or the Irid. We haven't seen one in centuries.
Are they immortal?
How would she... Centuries?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a 7th breed. We don't... Centuries of... We've never seen one.
Right. So, just in that little sentence... Yeah. Power of the sky is a little different than saying lightning. And they play on their words, the Brennan.
Yeah.
So that's 1. 2,
they
Irid.
also lie.
True. The Irid. And this is when I was saying at the beginning that Andarna threw out goes, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Andarna remembered, oh, wait, that is what they call my kind.
And then immediately Violet's like, go the fuck away. We just found out that it's not me she's looking for. It's freaking you.
She's hunting you.
And so Violet's like, well, good thing she's nowhere around here. And in her mind, simultaneously, she's saying, get behind the wards. She's like, I wouldn't be stupid enough to bring her outside of the wards.
Yeah.
And she was.
What was crazy to me, though, is that there didn't seem to be a point to the trap.
Theophany is like, I knew you were here, and I want you just to remember that I could have killed you right now. And so that's why you should choose me as your teacher and not anybody else. And she just goes away.
Yeah.
And so literally, this was her recruiting practice. It's like, I wanted to introduce myself by almost killing you and your friends. But now that you know I'm powerful, just remember I could have killed you, but I didn't. You're welcome.
Yeah, and the whole time, Violet's like, I won't turn. She's like, you will. And when you do, remember that I'm the cool teacher.
Yes. You're welcome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
To say the least.
So they shoot all the way back, grab all their shit at Samara, and they fly all the way back, even though this is well under the timeline that Atos said 2 days, but they're coming back early. They're coming back with additional people too.
Children and people, but also Violet's knee is pretty fucked up.
Yes, that's their excuse. There is no healer, or not healer, there's no mender at Samara. And, her brother can do it.
It's kind of a mender.
But we found out we saved a lot of civilians as soon as the villain monologue ended. Mm-hmm. Like, the threat ended, but not before Theophany actually murdered Marin's parents. leaving her two brothers.
We forgot about her villain monologue, that part of her villain monologue.
So her two brothers, who are like twin 7-year-olds or something, they actually are coming back with them.
And the way she did it, it was very like Cruella de Vil is how I picture her delivery.
Yes.
Right? She's like, it was so easy to lure you guys here just by killing that family. What family? And she's like, oh, calm down. Just the parents. We left the boys for leverage.
Of course we did.
Like, didn't you kind of get this, like, just let them eat cake. It's fine.
So it actually, like, takes them, like, 24 instead of 22 hours because 2 of the Griffins are carrying a 7-year-old boy in addition to their flyers.
The only thing I kept thinking is how ginormous her knee has got to be.
Yeah.
24 hours with blood rushing that way, riding, like...
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's in bad shape.
Like pain.
Yes.
Pain.
Not great.
Yeah.
And so they land. He, like, actually lifts her, like, off of Taryn. Like, she gets out of her saddle and stuff, but he, like, lifts her the rest of the way with his shadows.
Yeah.
And, like, just carries her. And he's, like, pissed, and she's like trying to be like flirty and cute while her leg hurts so bad, and he's just like being like his curt normal self.
And this whole time Brennan's like old brother lecturing her like, what if I wasn't here? I was supposed to be back at Basgith. What are you
and she's just like making like comments, and they like do
my
whole
my full-time job isn't mending you. Maybe I should just send you to the healers. Maybe you'll learn your lesson.
They do the whole like rush into a random room and like throw everything off the table and lay her down as like a medic bed. And then of course Brennan just starts putting his hands over her, and she's like, oh, it's starting to feel better. It still hurts bad. And he's like, oh my God, this is horrible. But this whole time, like, she's trying to be funny and flirty. And she's like, I own my decisions. It's fine. And the fuck aware quote comes again. I love it.
Well, I did love how Garrick busts in. And he's like, it's not her fault. Da-da-da-da-da. A tornado and da-da-da-da. And it's like, she's like, I own my decisions.
Yes. You don't need to defend me. And it's also funny that Garrick is like running in to like try to talk his friend down.
Don't be mad at her.
Like, don't be mad. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. And like, there's Violet like, I'm not really in trouble, guys.
Yeah. She don't care. He can be mad. It's fine.
Yeah. It's
Let
fine.
him stew. Okay.
Yeah. And then I do what I do.
Yeah. All the second years come running in. It's a very dramatic scene right now.
Is.
Marin's brothers are there.
Atos storms in and his like,
you disobeyed orders.
Doot, doot, doot.
Maybe that's what his voice is. You disobeyed orders.
Yeah. And Ree is like very squad leader. Is like, excuse me. She is hurt. Punishment satisfied. Get over it.
Or she's like, every flyer and rider agreed. And Riddick's like, and we do it again and again and again.
Every day we're hustling.
He's like, what are you saying? And it's like, I think he said we would do it again.
Yes. And so then Atos is like, okay, well, they fucking did it there. So I'm going to look at Brennan and I'm going to say, you're not allowed to be here.
Azrai, you have no business being here.
And he's like, it's Sorengale to you, bitch. He changed his name back.
And Violet noticed it was on his uniform.
Yes.
It's Sorengale.
And then he said, excuse me, according to code 545, blah, blah, menders can go wherever the fuck they want if somebody needs mending. And he's like...
Bitch. So then Atos is like, well, they can't be here.
No.
The children.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what I picture in my head.
The babies.
He's like, they can't be here, and it's Marin's brothers.
Yeah,
his like
and
9-year-old
Xaden's
brothers.
Like, actually, they are going to my kingdom because remember, I'm a duke.
They're Tersh citizens now.
Yeah,
and Ree's like, they're gonna live with my mom and dad.
yeah. We got this all figured out.
Don't worry.
You have no authority here. You have zero authority.
He still don't care.
No.
He's trying. He's like, well, you two get back to the Eastern Wing, and Garrick's like. That's an order. And he goes, Malgreen's order.
Yeah.
Which I am under. Well, which we are under. Well, I don't know. I am. Your Grace.
Your Grace. What are your orders?
I'm
Do you
pretty
take
sure
orders
he
anymore?
leads the Turish forces. So Run along, Atos.
Atos, this is so embarrassing for you.
He's such a little bitch.
He really is. And so then as soon as like her legs mended, Atos is done doing his toddler tantrum, Xaden just like goes, everybody out. And
let me rephrase that. Get out now.
Yes. And so Violet's just there like, haha, like, don't worry, guys, it's fine. And everybody's like seriously concerned that Violet's going to get all this, like, they're like leaving being like, I'm glad I'm not her. And as soon as like the door closes, the shields are up, Xaden is just angry. And she like starts doing her like cute flirty, like explaining herself. And
you
he's
like,
done
the same thing.
I mean,
okay.
It's really not like actually getting ready for the lecture. And he's just like, I don't fucking care. And just starts making out.
He just starts kissing her.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he also confirms Garrett is definitely has a second signet.
And they do a lot of these like further explanations of why Xaden is cautious and all of that. So we're not going to go into detail for all of them, but I feel like this one he really said well that he knows he would have done anything to save her. And she's like, but you didn't. You're fine. Everything's good. And she keeps, it's a repetitive thing. She defends him like this. And he goes, I would have drained the earth to its core if it meant saving you. Yeah. Something is broken between my head and my heart. I know you don't need my help. I respect your decisions. But when it comes down to it, I'm trying to tell you
there's something wrong.
That I will just fucking do it. I'm dangerous, okay?
Yeah.
And I can't fathom, you're the one person who can strip that control from me.
Yeah.
And I can't fathom ever losing control around you. And this is a common fucking theme throughout the whole book. But yeah, Violet does confirm Garrick is a distance wheeler.
She also remembers that she thought she saw Liam wield ice once.
Well, and Xaden like finishes her sentence with that one. And one time I thought I saw Liam wield and he goes, ice.
Yeah. That happened. They're finding dragons. Us. This is purposeful.
Yes.
This is the dragon strategy. They've found us to build an army with power.
Right. And Violet goes, I saw Venom wield lightning.
He's like...
So to me, I was thinking these dragons know a hell of a lot more that they are not telling the humans.
No.
So the humans are doing all this strategizing. I think there's all... The series is called The Imperium.
That's true. Oh, so we're just going to stay with dragons, man.
I mean, the dragon... That's what's really going on. We're getting small glimpses. We're kind of in the monotony of Basgiath. Going back and forth to Arisha life. Imogen comes up to Violet and is like, hey, I got this for you. And she's like, it's a letter from Garrick to you. Why would you be... She's like Garrick sends me fucking letters. Open it. It's from Xaden to Violet. He tells her he almost burned out. He's going to retreat to his room until further notice. Violet knows right away. He channeled. He screwed up. His eyes are red and he has to hide. And she tells Imogen right away because Imogen knows.
Yeah.
She's like, how can you tell? She's like, it's pretty coded, but he slipped. Why else would he have almost burnout and have to retreat for weeks?
Yeah.
And have nobody see him? His eyes are red. It's like, shit. So they are on their way at this point to Jack. Violet needs to get some answers. Violet walks up and she's like, he doesn't look bad. He looks like death. He looks like shit. All the rock around him is drained. He's drained all of that. Yeah. And Violet offers him a rune with about as much power to keep him alive for a week for answers. So he confirms in this interview back and forth, he tries to be a hard ass, which is falling on deaf ears. It was very pathetic, actually. But anyways, he confirms they can sense each other, especially when they're newer. Right? So Xaden's initiate. I think Jack's got to be an ASIM at this point if he's like going to die from not having power.
Yeah.
But sages and mavens, you wouldn't even know. They'd be in a room with everybody else and you wouldn't even know.
So Xaden either needs to stop or get to a higher level so he can survive with his Violet. His
well, but
violence.
Their looks are different.
He can put makeup on, Nicole.
True
Problem
story.
solved.
Actually, true
Band-Aids work the same.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Violet also asked him, do you have to be taught? And he's like, well, if you don't have experience with magic, but if you understand the flow of magic, like a rider or a flyer, would not need to be taught at all.
So maybe he doesn't need to pick a teacher.
Right. And then she kind of baits him into more information. Because he gets mad again about, like, you frail ass having 2 dragons. We advance based on our capabilities and our talents. We're hired based on merit.
Which is funny because the worthiness of you is based on dragons picking you.
Yeah.
Based on, like, a moral standard that they believe is higher than the human moral standard.
Exactly.
And Jack is basically saying, we don't care if you're moral here. We just...
What about us that are void of all morals? What about us?
Power. Only weak dragons pick us.
He also doubles down again. He's constantly said there is no cure because magic doesn't negotiate. Stop trying to find a cure. Then he tries to zing her. He's like, did you scream for Ryerson when you were down here? Because it's the torture chamber that she was in. Because I could smell it. I feel like I could feel it when I lay on the rocks. Like little
grossness. Yeah.
And Violet plays it off. She's like, the redecorating you've done here, I don't know.
Not so good.
But I
didn't have a dead guy in the corner. Until I stabbed Verish.
He does say, like, what's going to keep me from telling your favorite fucking scribe that you're doing this and keeping me alive? And she's like, I don't know. You're never going to know. And Imogen wipes his memory.
And then you're like, dude, they've probably been doing this the whole time for months.
They haven't, though.
But they could have.
We would know. That's also another possible difference. Do we know all of Violet's inner dialogue?
I don't think we do.
I don't think we necessarily do either.
No, I think it's just like we get highlights, but they could be doing this for months.
Yes.
In the background. That now is part of day to day. Every Saturday, me and Imogen go.
Okay. Speaking of day to day, some of the funniest moments in this whole book happened in the mundane in-between parts.
Can I give you an example of one?
Yes.
So Riddick is like...
Hilarious.
And Violet and Xaden are doing their mind fighting back and forth. And they're like, oh, what are you doing? And basically Riddick is like, oh, this is what they're doing. I'll trust you if you stop keeping secrets. And then Xaden goes, it's my secretive nature that attracted you. Why can't you stay out of harm's way for like 5 fucking minutes? And so it's just like the back and forth of like making fun of exactly what is happening.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happened, I think, on their way to go see Jasenia.
Yes. So sad news about Jasenia. She was demoted for being a traitor.
Essentially. Markham, she wasn't even demoted in an honorable way. Markham flat out set her up to fail.
Yeah.
To kick her out of the
he
accelerated
He
program.
gave her a test. And
multiple tests.
It was a test that she was bound to fail.
Yeah.
So good news, bad news. She's demoted. She's really going through it. She was the new protege. The smartest scribe, and they've demoted her because she thinks for herself, which you're not supposed to do.
Which Violet described it as narrowing her focus.
Yes.
Because she's with Grady's team now. So it's good. But I thought that shows the difference between scribes. Like your power is how much knowledge
you control.
Punishing her is narrowing her focus down.
But
Jasenia's like, what? I get to sit around with 300-year-old like tombs
and
stuff? Oh, so painful.
Well, and frankly, this is where the biggest area of opportunity is because, first of all, we know nothing.
Right.
And it is retelling the history of dragons.
Right. Well, it's also looking at the reality of the political and military situation they're in.
Yes.
I feel like Markham, Atos are still playing by the old rules.
Yeah.
And Jasenia kind of, because Violet's like, I'm sorry. And Jasenia's like, I think Jasenia knows that. She's like, This is where it's really fucking
Who
at.
cares about what the hierarchy is?
Yeah.
I'm changing the
Guess
world.
what? All of this is getting blown the fuck up, guys.
Yeah.
Either we die or we change it.
We die and nobody knows.
Yeah.
Or we change it and then everybody looks at the new history that was written and is like, that guy's a dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Guess who writes history?
Boom. Okay. But also, this is the first time Sawyer and Jacinia are like around all of them together, and it is super awkward.
That's not necessarily super awkward, I don't think. One, like Sawyer's trying and he's doing like broken English signing.
Yeah.
Right? But he is the one who tells Violet about the demotion and all that.
Yeah.
And the awkward part, I think, is when Jacinia's like, that was not yours to tell. And Riddick was like translating for Sawyer, and Sawyer's like, I got that one.
Yeah.
I understood that one completely.
But
they had their first fight.
They should not have trusted Riddick with the translation because before the fight even happened.
No, because he said, I'll translate for you, and I promise not to like plan any of your sexual exploits. So alluding to having done it before.
Yeah. So,
of course he would.
Jacinia also told her that she noticed as she's going through the general's journal that the whole second Crowlin uprising has been ripped out. And they may have had outside support from the Isles. So this is another thing that directionally they think, okay, we need to go south. We need to go to the Isles. This is where we should look, right?
Well, and the thing that was crazy about it is this journal was around year 400, and Violet's going, we cut off all communication with the Isles in like 206.
Yeah.
So you're talking 200 years. We hadn't talked to the Isles. How could one of the Isles have supported the second uprising?
Yeah.
And all that info was ripped out of the journal.
Yeah. So we don't know.
Who would have known to tell this general? Who would have even known that information? Like, how did that general even know that would have happened?
Yeah.
And Violet instantly is like, who knew?
My dad.
Her dad.
My dad. This is my dad's research.
Right.
And so she's like, shit. We just moved out of those quarters. Why didn't I move out? Why didn't I completely move out?
Why didn't I go back and get Dad's research that everyone has been asking me for in the last 2 books?
Yeah.
And I never thought to go back to Mom's and get it.
Because it was safe. It was safely hidden with her mom. And then who owns this house now? General Atos.
General Atos.
Now we know what we need to do.
But also, I know your mind's been all over the place. It's been a couple months since your mom died at this point.
No.
You haven't gone in. Like, you thought to get Liam's letters right away.
But remember, culturally, everything is burned. So culturally, you're not thinking I have to go through and do everything. Culturally, you're thinking somebody's already cleared the room and burned it.
Where her dad's research was hidden.
I know, but you wouldn't think of that.
Violet should have. I think that's a plot hole. Violet, what we know of Violet, she would have thought of her dad's research.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think this is a cultural gap.
I think you're giving too much credit.
Plot hole. I can give my credit wherever I want.
You can. You're right.
Say well the fuck aware.
Oh my gosh. All right. So they are now in battle brief. Devora tells them there's going to be some new classes. Grown. 3 whole new classes. Ugh. One of them, though, because they're changing up what they need to know because they need to know different things because they are actively at war, right?
Also, all the history they've ever learned is wrong.
True.
So we have to catch you up. You're at like kindergarten now, and with the strategic battle discussions we need to have, we need to upskill you.
Yeah,
fast.
One of those classes is also the runes, right? Learning all the different runes, which some of these kids have been training, or some of these people have been training since they were children.
This is why the Flyers need to stay.
This is why Xaden left her the craft book, last book, to learn the knots.
Oh, thank you for this knot building.
She totally bashed it then. Now you want your book.
I'm not going to lie. I would have used it as like a doorstop.
Probably, right? All right, so one of the new classes is how to use their signets in combat. And let me introduce you to your new teacher, Xaden Ryerson. Professor Ryerson. Instantly, Violet goes mind to mind. I think our relationship just ended. Because she's thinking Article 8, Section 1, don't date your teachers. It's much more eloquent than that. It literally cuts the chapter. The next chapter starts with Xaden going, absolutely not, mind to mind. Which I think is crazy.
Yeah.
Class ends. Violet rushes out, trying not to run into Xaden. He's like, nuh-uh. Yeah. She's trying to find Dane. What I think is funny is Ree, like, kind of grabs her. She's like, are you okay?
Why aren't you happy about this?
You're going to see him all the time.
This is good news.
She goes, in class. I'm like, why? And she's like, Article 8, Section 1. And she's like, oh, shit. But she also says, because Violet's like, I don't know. I got to find Dane. She's like, wait a minute. You just found out you're going to see your boyfriend, your little shadow daddy, and that you want to go find Dane? Like, what? Are you okay?
Is this like, first year again?
What is going on? But then she realizes it. She finds Dane, I think, standing outside of Professor Corey's office or something like that. So she pulls Dane aside, tells Dane that she needs the research. Mm-hmm. But General's quarters are locked with blood or marriage wards. And you're the only one who can get through there because I don't know if you know, it switched a little bit.
He actually starts with, oh, is it in the Royal Vault? Should we go get Eric or Arik? Should we get Eric? We should get Arik.
You don't need me, obviously. As soon as they're like, that's said, Xaden, like, or I think Professor Corey opens the door and then Xaden's there.
Oh,
it's pretty awkward.
Well. That didn't take long.
It's like, Violet, can I talk to you in private? And she's like, nope, you actually can't.
No,
and he's like, yes,
it's illegal now.
You're a professor and I'm a cadet. In the meantime, Dane's going, holy shit, Article 8, Section 1.
The crazy thing here is a common theme is none of the leadership has actually read the codex.
Right.
Because even who was Xaden, the teacher that Xaden was walking in with?
Corey.
So Professor Corey comes in and is like, we expected to see you really quickly after Xaden.
That's grand true. I forgot about that.
He didn't connect that like this means you guys can't date.
Well, I also think it was presented as a class that would have a rotating professor. Mm-hmm. Like she said,
it's a temporary assignment.
Yeah, well, we're going to rotate signets so you guys can learn from multiple signets how to combat them, right?
But the leader of all of these rotating professors is...
I know, but what's funny is it was kind of like, the Labrador Retriever that brings a squirrel in and is like, look, at the present I got you. Xaden was like, look, I get to stay behind the wards. I get to be safe.
I don't want your dead animal.
It's like, but we can't do anything about it. Bodhi, when Dane goes, holy shit, Article 8, Section 1, Bodhi goes, wait, did you guys break up? And Violet's like, yes. And Xaden's like, no. I want to see this on the show. This whole interaction is so funny. Dane is definitely enjoying this because I think Xaden kind of says something. He's like, I'm not the one who fucking wrote the codex. Nope. And I'm not the one who accepted the job, bro. That's on you. And kind of dips out.
Oh, yeah.
Xaden does tell her, though, Kaori. So I think Kaori did know. Mm-hmm. Kaori was already checking with Pancheck to get an exemption because it's a pre-existing.
But he was like, this is no big deal. We'll just ask Pancheck. You got a good business case.
And that's when Violet's like, at least it keeps you within the wards, and he told her, because this is the first time they've seen each other and his eyes aren't red. He said when they were in battle, he didn't even know he was channeling from the ground. No. And Sigale had to yell at him, like scream at him.
And it's like the first time that Sigale's talked to him since he turned Brennan.
Right. So it's dangerous because he just does it when he needs the power.
Yeah.
Atos cuts them off. Of course he does. He's like, oh, I thought I would tell you about the results. Yeah.
I thought I'd bring the bad news directly to you so I could engage your face.
So I could be a dick in your face. Zayden plays along and is like, I would like to request an exemption. And right away he's like, denied.
Gotcha.
And it was because of a previous relationship and it's a temporary position. Atos takes this to go, listen, bitch, I don't want you here and I will never forget what you did to our second lieutenant, Varish, right? Yeah.
He's like Wesselton.
And how you ripped Bazgaiath apart. Xaden's like, I'm going to tell you that you're an asshole. And I checked the codex. I'm allowed to say that.
Boom.
And
I can insult you if I want.
They do their snap
The Rebel
out.
Squad. Rebel Squad.
And then Violet goes, hey, you want to be mad at someone for killing Varish? That's me.
Boom.
I will say, Dane then caught her and goes...
It was actually...
I know you pushed it through, but let's keep it real. Like, it was me. You could have used that for leverage. Yeah. And she's like, why would I fucking do that?
I'm taking credit.
So I think this is Dane going, oh, she's forgiving me too. Because we're getting Violet's inner dialogue that she trusts him now. Yeah. It's back to her, you know? But he doesn't necessarily know that. No,
he doesn't. It's still awkward for him. He doesn't realize that it was like the ethical barrier. And once you're back on the right ethical side, we good.
I mean, it's honestly what Rebecca Yarrow said in one of her interviews. He was a 21-year-old kid who believed his dad and was manipulated and was being overprotective of his chronically ill best friend.
Yeah.
He learned his lesson.
He was a little boy.
Yes.
And now he's attempting to grow up. He still also diverts back to little boy.
Not really, though.
He's getting better and better.
He's taking a lot of shit.
He is taking the shit. That's the thing, that he's humble enough to take the shit.
He is.
Because it's the downstream impact. That's something that evidently I say a lot. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's starting to get annoying.
You do actually say that a lot. Downstream impact.
And it literally, like I said it once to the kid. I say it a lot, evidently, to the kids. And my husband was just like, little 8-year-old girl of you, do you know what downstream impact means? And she goes, So I'm like, damn it. But my 12-year-old understands.
She does.
But the downstream impact of that.
No, yes, exactly.
Kidding. So Violet is in Quest Squad. And again, this was the label of
Riddick.
Yeah, Riddick's label for what this is.
I want to be a Quest Squad.
Which she found out she has no say over the people who are in it.
Yeah, who's there, Riss?
So we've got like 3 40-year-old men. Like I figure like beer guts, like their tight rider outfits don't fit.
She described them, Rebecca Yarrow described them as elderly riders. And you're picking 40?
Well, for a writer, that's elder.
I know, but I'm a little offended.
You should be. No, I'm just kidding.
I think I could still ride the shit out of a dragon.
But don't worry, she's got somebody there her age.
You got me picturing fucking Nolan sitting in the corner, 90-year-old rider in his leathers, ready to go.
There is somebody there her age, a companion, and this was purposefully picked by our commander to her companion. It's her best friend, somebody that within the last week has already threatened to kill her. Aura, the fire-wielding, hot-headed person, and there are no flyers. So in her mind, she's pointing out, this just feels like he like took some dice and just whoever landed.
You just went like
that is the symbol for taking dice, is it not?
I don't know if it's well.
Get your mind out of the gutter. What are we reading, a fantasy romance right now?
Way to deflect your own
actions. This is not shake weight time. That was rolling dice. Okay. Anyway,
Me too.
Everybody just looks not great. And Xaden is going mind to mind. And she's like, are you here yet? Are you almost here? Mm-hmm. Xaden comes walking in. And Grady's like, dude, you weren't invited. And he's
this is a closed meeting.
This is a closed meeting. He's like, yeah, really rude that you didn't invite me. And like just sits down. And Violet's just like snickering. Justinia is in the corner because she's the scribe to take all the notes. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of snickering, but like taking massive notes of everything that's happening.
Giggling, man. It was
fun. Xaden sits down and like explains why he's here, which Seagal and Taryn is like always the number one reason.
Which is kind of like the way he presents is exactly how I was thinking. Like, do we really have to go over this again?
Yeah.
Your 2 most powerful fucking dragons can't be separated from each other. I'm obviously on the Quest Squad. Shut up. Carry on.
Yes. Everybody but Xaden and Violet have very, very common signets.
Yeah.
Not even where you could logically be like, yes, it makes sense.
There's a water wheel or air wielder, fire wielder, that's aura.
Yep.
Distance, a seer, like
Yep.
what Liam was. I can see far distances, which we found out all the dragons can see like that. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. And Xaden actually calls out, "Oh, no shield signets. That's interesting."
Doesn't really make sense.
And Grady's like, "Are we going to have a problem?" And Xaden's like, "I hope so." Yup, probably.
Well, they went back and forth. He's like, "We already have like a request for somebody," and he's like, "Well, Mira is under my control, so
she's under my command.
Just ask, and it's her sister.
Why isn't that letter coming directly to me?
Right, and that's
the person you forgot to invite."
That's when Grady's like, "We're gonna have a problem, aren't we?" And he's like, "Pretty much, yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pulling rank. Turns out you don't mean nothing.
Can't fix stupid, Grady.
Okay, so this is the condescending attitude that some people don't appreciate with Xaden.
Fuck off!
But if you're right, you're right.
I feel like that's my life motto.
And should it be? Let's talk about that for a second. Okay, they're like talking while Grady's like trying to hold this meeting. It's really Xaden back and forth talking to Violet in their heads about what Violet thinks should be happening.
Right.
And then them making snide comments that Jasinia's chuckling about, like, and challenging. But Grady's like, "We need to go north because blah, blah, blah." And Violet's like, first of all, Andarna hates the cold. There's no way her people would be somewhere cold.
And as she's thinking that, the other captains are like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just Violet and Xaden.
No.
Like once Grady's like, "We're going to go here because the Emerald Sea isn't typically explored." And one of the other captains is like, "Yeah, because no boats ever come back."
Yeah.
He turns to Violet and is like, "Where does your dragon want to go?"
And so they talk about the Isle Kingdoms, which is south. And Deverelli was one of the isles that we've had last communication with. And this isle is known for being very neutral because they value trade.
But
universal trade.
They have killed every ambassador we have ever sent.
Yes, but they are not on our good side anymore. We don't know why, because all of our history for some reason was erased, which is ironic. What leader in the world would just say Control-Alt-Delete to all historical data? Control-Alt-Delete. Like, in what world is that a good idea, Nicole? I'm asking you seriously. In what world would it be smart to erase any historical data?
In a fascist world.
In a world where you're hiding stuff, usually crimes. That's why a business would Control-Alt-Delete any data, is because they're hiding crime.
You know what? As you're talking about, it's making me think
of the CDC.
No, before it was related to the venom and keeping people safe. But this is showing that it's much deeper.
Oh yeah.
Than just that.
Agreed.
So what else again do we
what
not
are
fucking
you hiding?
No.
So anyway, Violet wants to go south.
And mind to mind, Xaden's like, "What do you know?"
Yeah.
Because remember, she's been keeping him in the dark. He doesn't know about, so she tells him about Jasenia's research and the pages that were ripped out.
Yep.
And that's why, and Anna and Darna thinks it's south, and I have Dane getting the research, and he's like, "Oh fuck."
Yep.
We're
so
relying on Dane.
We are going on a quest with Quest Squad.
She does break out at this point to him something we haven't heard yet, where she remembers her dad going secretive right before he died, and she's like, if he wanted Markham or Atos to have that
this
research,
information,
they would have it. He hid it for a reason, which means it's beneficial for us. And so they go to get up to leave, and he's like, "Hey, can you stay back?" And she's like, "I would give anything just to have a little touch from him." Totally. Oh my God, yes.
Gosh,
and so
yes,
they're like waiting. And then Aura's like, "You ready? I mean, since I'm your companion, I would want to make sure you didn't do anything that would, nullify the codex or get you in trouble."
That's another thing. Ever since Atos denied them this exemption, he has had little Navarian spies be with them every day, everywhere.
That's the whole reason
every
Aura's
second.
there, even to begin with.
Just to make sure. So, the first 14 chapters, what do you think? 3 hours in.
We've been talking for 3 hours.
Well, I mean,
we've had 2 big tangents.
Yeah.
I know we say that a lot, and you're like, they're only like 10 minutes.
No, but these are purposeful. Like 40, we talked 45 minutes, not about the book, before we even started recording.
Yeah. Okay, so we're more at probably
2 hours.
Yeah. This first part of the book, I am happy that Xaden is not completely gone yet. Like there seems to be some like hope in him trying to have the stability. And I understand his stance and I understand Violet's stance, and it's I don't know if I would change it at all. Like, she needs to be the person that is like, no, you are a good person, but he needs to also be realistic.
Yeah.
In those things. So I do like that coming from the end of Iron Flame into here. I kind of had a sigh of like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where they go. I think it's quite obvious ending here that they're going to be going into the Isles.
Yeah.
Which is like fun. We get to see whole other freaking worlds. I'm going to tell them, our listeners, what I told you. My biggest annoyance, and this isn't a spoiler, we are going to the Isles. About a third of the book, at least, is in the Isles. And Rebecca, we have no map of the fucking Isles.
So
I'm a little annoyed.
I do want to say these are the comments that Rebecca doesn't enjoy. And this is why I got my book first. But
fine. But I don't have to be the liked list sister.
Rebecca, this is an easy fix. All you have to do is create one and then just post it anywhere online. We'll find it.
Yes.
We'll find it.
Because
just
what you gotta realize, I'll be honest, I was already annoyed about the map. And I'm not mad at Rebecca. I'm mad at your editor. Your editor should have picked up on this. Even within Iron Flame and Fourth Wing, there are cities and places within the continent that they aren't on the map. And I look at that. I don't know if maybe I'm a dork, but I think most people who are reading these types of books, when different places are mentioned, especially when there's a whole bunch of them, you flip back to get like graphical.
I would call this The Hobbit. The Hobbit guide.
Yes.
That is like the first true like fantasy book I read.
Yes.
And you look back at that map all the time.
You do.
And even if the name of where you are isn't on the map,
I use it to visualize.
In the description, they say it's to the north of blah, 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 which is on the map.
Yes.
So, agreed. I understand why at the beginning we didn't want to do the map, but as soon as we start going into talking about it, they should have done like part 1 before the Isles, part 2 with the Isles.
New map.
Yeah.
I'm just annoyed.
Agreed.
And I should be able to know. I want to know where the Isles are in comparison to the continent. I want to know if there's other land masses that we don't know about. I want to know within the Isles why they're hitting them in the order that they're hitting them and their size and things like that to compare between the Isles.
Yeah.
Because there might be infighting there that I should kind of be able to pick up on. And a lot of times, like ACOTAR, it was always, I knew where the Autumn Court was, but I would look at the map to visualize what they were saying.
Yes.
Like, oh, we have to go through here because then Baron won't know and and I needed to visualize it and see it. I couldn't do that with this map. So I do love the character formation. It's why it's going to be a show, because it's got great character in the overall plot. I love it. I'm a little annoyed about the map. I want to look at a little bit of a map, which is interesting because I have no sense of direction. So
we are visual learners.
For the next book, Rebecca, can we get an updated map?
#feedback. Oh, you're not supposed to say hashtag before the. How do you denote a hashtag now?
No, the non-millennial argument was when you say hashtag, you don't have to hashtag.
Oh.
That's what it was. Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake were going hashtag, hashtag, and then.
With their fingers?
Yeah. And Questlove came in and he goes, hey guys, when you say hashtag, you don't got to go hashtag.
Oh, so I can say hashtag.
Yes.
Okay, I thought that was an old lady thing, and I was like, well, how the fuck do you hashtag?
I wanted to tell you when you said that to your husband before, but I
not gonna lie, I never did this with my fingers.
No one's videotaping us.
Oh, shit, that sounds even weird. No, I never hashtagged my fingers because I think that's stupid.
It's kind of weird.
And okay, well, thank you for teaching me about that.
I say number sign.
Okay, so we need to talk about that.
So we are about to log off right now. We are going to listen to chapters 15 through 28, and then we're going to be back to talk to you guys about it.
Boom.
All right. So thank you for talking high tales with your favorite lit sisters. Bye.
See ya. Or as Xaden would say, go fuck yourself.